Well, hello there again, friends and family. Glad to see you. And we're heading off into the woods again for a little walkabout. So I thought maybe I'd bring y'all along too. I'm over here to check out a few things. You might see I'm sporting a brand new hat. It's one of many that you viewers have sent to me. Now this particular hat, as well as a black one similar to it, came from Marcus, all the way out there in Cali, California. Yep, he's a retired LA County Sheriff deputy, sure is. But he just didn't send me a couple of hats. He sent me a whole care package of stuff from the LA County Sheriff's Department stuff he had. Stuff like carabiners, pins, patches, little pack. It was just all loaded up. I really do appreciate that. I appreciate everything he sent. And my old hats were getting a little worn. Had to retire one. And had to retire my prime south. Make it just a working hat around the yard and that. But we've entered the big woods and getting ready to walk over to a place we've been to many times, because I do want to check on something particular in that, if I can make my way back on in through this brush. So y'all be careful now where you're walking, because today when I got up and went out to feed the kitty crew, laying in the carport with its head bit off was a baby snake. Yep, sure was. Now it wasn't a rattlesnake or copperhead or anything like that. Speedy had it, and she'd killed a common variety garter snake, but she's proud of herself. You know, they can't tell the difference, poisonous snake or not. Now, I haven't seen a poisonous snake for years. But I'm over here at one of the places I want to check. Let me show you the beauty of it, especially here now. The spring's only about a week away. So I'll be turning the camera around, if y'all don't mind, so you can walk with me. As you can see, just look at the greenery. Look how green that grass is. And everything. I mean, my Lord. It's almost like we went to Ireland, isn't it? Or it's what I would like to believe, from what I've seen on TV and the movies, that all of Ireland looks like. I've only ever been there once. I actually got family there. But something I wanted to check on is right here. And that, I've been trying to catch these blooming, and I have my own reasons for it, and that, but I've always been a little leery about what they are, you know. I'd like to think they're garlic. And they smell like garlic. So I'm thinking there's some kind of garlic. I'm sure it wasn't wild, because this is an old homestead. Oh yeah. That smells just like garlic. And you can see there's a big old patch of them here. And that. And one reason I was leery of it, just so y'all know, when you're out in the woods, especially around old home places, there are certain types of lilies that resemble closely garlic. And if you're not careful, you can grab a hold of one of them, and if you eat it, at the very least, you're going to be really sick, and the very worst, you could die. But I'm pretty sure now, this is some form of garlic. And how I'm telling, I crush up that leaf, and I put it up near my nose. Yep, it smelled just like garlic to me. So, over the years, you know, I always think about this, but I didn't eat a bunch of garlic, because I always grow it on the home place. Now, I'm real late getting it in this year, so I don't know if I have any. Now, this could be a form of leeks too. In fact, the more I look at it, it looks a lot like leeks from the leaf structure and that. But it does have a slight garlic, oniony type smell to it. So I'm going to do just a little more research before I come pull a few out. I wasn't going to take much anyway. But as I've been walking, and I know it'd be impossible for y'all to see it, there was a lot of the smaller wild garlic and that growing up through this here lush green grass cover. That if you look down in here real closely, like right here, you see these yellow blossoms and that? Well, that's from what they call a mock strawberry. And if you've ever seen them, they sort of kind of look like a strawberry. Real close. Have a lot of seeds on the outside. But they have yellow flowers instead of white. That's one way you can tell. And if you eat one of them, they have virtually no taste at all. They are edible, but they are tasteless. At least to me, they always have been. There's a pile of mock strawberries growing out right here too as well. I have them in my yard. And I'm never quite sure why this place is always this way. It's been this way the whole time I've known it. Just like you're seeing it right here. All over lush and green. And there's remnants of the house that used to be here. All over the place. Broken up cinder blocks. The porch is over there ways. And of course, there's some garbage that they left behind. And all this that you're seeing starting to leaf out here are all gigantic Chinese privet. Yep. Those nice looking trim privet hedges that you see in urban areas, suburban areas, you know, that people keep all trimmed up. Well, this is what happens here in the South. That same ornamental privet. Birds eat the little blueberries. They come over here and roost in the woods. Drop the seeds out. And this is what you get. That's why they're so invasive in the South. And we're currently on an animal trail of some type. I can see some fresh deer track. That's why I chose to walk it. Do you know that's what Native Americans used to do? That's how their trails became trails. They were animal trails first, and then they became their trails. And what you might not know, then they became the white man's trails. Yep. And many of those early trails became some of the earliest roads and highways in America. And that is a fact. And if you do your research, you can verify that for yourself. So we're starting to get in some pines here. And I'm steady looking on the ground because I don't want to step on nothing waking up, i.e. a snake. That was another reason I wanted to come out today. It won't be long, and the snakes will be coming alive. Oh my God. There's a golf ball out here in the middle of nowhere. I guess somebody was on that grassy field that's across the road from where I entered this big woods. I guess they were hitting golf balls at one time. Not that I've ever seen them. But it's about 71 degrees today, which was another reason for getting on out here in the woods. Wasn't windy. I was feeling cooped up and that. And as warm temperatures set in, I tend to stay out of the deep woods because something can get you. Yep. Now, I do got my cell with me. I'm coming to a place where there's a whole bunch of trees down. And this wasn't like this, about what, this past December, I think was the last time I was in this woods, and this wasn't here. So something happened. It's all deadfall. Well, that's what it appears to be to me. I don't see anything cut. But I'm coming to something now. It looks like they just came in here and cut out a lot of the dead ones. Nope. Unfortunately, they're starting to log these pines. Well, it's not my land. And in all honesty, it's way overdue, done. Should have been done years ago. These are loblolly pines. And when they get to a certain age, they start to die. From the looks of it, they were just taking out ones that were already dead. I haven't seen the first live stump cut yet. I guess it won't be long now. And I gotta admit, this area needs this done. There's no doubt. I don't know if you can see it over there. There's a big mound. And you'll see a lot of rock, stone, and that piled up there. Well, that too was an old home place. And there's some tin in there. That's a trash pile where they took down the house. Oh, it wasn't here when I moved here. But you can see all these trees they've cut. All of them were dead. So they're coming in here first and getting the ones that are dying. I guess they'll go from there. They left that nice younger oak right there. And I've seen several hardwoods that they've left. I mean, I've always wondered when they were going to come through and log out these here loblolly pines, because they plant them in pine plantations, and they're here for, we use them for pulpwood for the paper industry. They're also used for to be taken to wood chip fired peak demand power plants that we have here in the state of Alabama. And if you're not familiar with what they are, they're power plants that come online whenever needed. And that. Yep. They're thinning it out. Surely they are. But here again, everything I've seen has pretty much been dead so far that they've taken out. So it's all part about managing the forest. Surely is. So it's not something to get sad about or concerned. You know, some people get so wrapped up in environmentalism, they'll look at this and go, oh my God, that's so destructive. Well, Alabama has a huge forestry industry. We didn't always used to have it, but after cotton died off, transitioned more and more into forestry. In fact, that's probably one of the largest industries in Alabama now, as far as agriculture goes. They've cut down a pile of them. Ain't no doubt. But the old home places will still be around. They don't got nothing of value tree-wise, so they'll be there. The older part of the forest will be there, I'm thinking. It'll just be these pines. But if they do, like they normally do, they come in once they're done. They clear it all up. And that. And then what they'll do, they come in here and plant more trees. And I've done that tree planting for extra money back years ago for Georgia Pacific. And at the time, we got, I think the first year I did it, it was 4 cents a tree. And they give you this little tool, you know, it makes a slit in the ground. When you stab it in the ground, you pull it back, which opens up a hole, and you stick the little seedling in. Little pine seedling ain't. All total 6 inches high. And you put it in, close up the hole with your foot, your boot, and then you move on. Just that easy. And I thought it'd be a good way to make some extra money. My son James wanted to do it 1 year for the same reason. And he thought it would be a piece of cake. Yeah, well, this old ground's hard. But you can see some small, brand new pine seedlings just starting their new growth right here. And they're all over underneath where this older stand of pine is. I mean, they're everywhere. Literally by the thousands. And that. It'll be interesting to see what happens to this land. Now, I never walked the pine portion of this land very often. Nope. This is the road coming on into it. And it's actually called No Name Road. And this road's been here, I know it was here in 1940. Pretty much just like you see it, dirt road. Because I could see it on the aerial photography. And it went down to what used to be an old campsite down on the Thurlow Reservoir, where I've taken y'all many a time. And that you can go back and look at some of my walkabout and talkabouts in the big woods. Not sure what I named the videos. I always gave them a name about something we'd be discussing, or I'd be discussing. And that. It'll be interesting. It surely will. to see just all where this is going. But it needed to be done, folks. As you can see, as we've walked and you look out in there, there's a lot of dead down in that. A lot of it. As you saw, as we were walking up here to the road. One reason I want to walk on down this road today, a ways, not all that far, was to see what was coming up. Yep, looking for blackberries, dewberries, you know, stuff of that nature. Got another big old wild thistle right here. And I have a viewer, Karen. She goes by Stay Gold on YouTube. She was asking if these were the same as what they use for the milk thistle herbal supplement. Well, like I told her, we'd have to wait and see what the color of the flowers was. If this is what they call common thistle, or in some areas Canadian thistle, it'll have a here purplish pink flower. And that's what, from everything I know, they use for the milk thistle herbal supplements. Now there is another type of thistle, and it does grow here too, that came across from Europe and parts over around Europe and the Mediterranean, and it's a yellow thistle. And the yellow thistle, even though it's a thistle, as far as I can tell, it's not what they use when making these supplements. So, like I told her, we'll have to see what the ones in my yard back at the home place flower out to be. And that. What few I got, I'm gonna let grow. And that. I'll just mow around them. It'll be okay. But so far, other than the privet sprouting out, mock strawberries are blooming. The thistle's coming on strong. I'm not seeing a lot more yet. And that's a little worrisome, because I wonder, because we've now been warm, you know, at least no lower than mid 60s in the days. Now we had been getting down in the low 30s at night, but there should be so much more alive where there has been in past years. But then again, it's been a long time since we were as cold as we were back in the middle of February. You know, when Texas was freezing, and Oklahoma, and Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia. Yeah. And even though we'd been that cold before, we hadn't been that cold for that long. And that's surely going to have some type of effect on what comes up naturally this spring. Can't but. And I'll probably come out and walk in a couple of different areas of this woods. Of course, next outing, I have to switch into some heavy-duty boots, just in case old Mr. Tom steps on something. Yep. Now, they ain't made it down into here yet. Well, I'm sure they're coming. They have back in there. But see, I knew It's like this right here, this road. These old logging roads that are cutting off either side, they've been around ever since I've been here. Ooh, look at this here nice white flowering tree we have over here. I wonder what we got. Oh my. That's bent over. That's some kind of fruit tree. I'm not sure what. It could be one of those Bradford pears, or it could be another type of pear, or even an apple tree. It'll be interesting to see what it is. Yeah. If they don't take it down during this logging, I'll have to come back and check on that as the year progresses. Well, I didn't want to come out here for hours today, because in all honesty, still haven't been feeling 100%. You know, it's just not age. You know, I got my conditions. Many of y'all do too. And we have to deal with them. Yeah, I'm not worried about this land getting developed anytime in my lifetime. My little town been in negative population decline for, oh my God. By the looks of it, and I was looking the other night, oh, ever since the 40s, I found a picture up on the internet of a celebration they were having over at number 2 and number 3 mill. And it was in May 1943. And there were 7,500 people that came for what they called an E-Day celebration. I don't even know what that is. I didn't take time to look it up. But what was striking was 7,500. And I think our last population count for the all of Tallahassee was 4,980, something like that. But all the ladies had dresses on. All the little kids had their good clothes on. The men, slacks, shoes. All had their hats. Nice shirts. Sort of makes you wonder, you know, why we don't do that no more. I mean, I don't leave the place looking overly grungy and that. I don't go shopping in my pajama bottoms like I see so many doing. Nope. Don't wear my shower shoes or something like that. I guess we've all seen the pictures that they put up on the internet, how people look when they go out shopping. If you look back how we all got dressed to go in the 50s, 60s, 70s, boy, how life has changed. That gets back down to respect too. Hell, in my mind, if you don't respect yourself any more than that, how can you respect anything else. Just my thought. And I'm entitled to it. Now, yeah, I went to the hardware store, the lumber yard, Lowe's and Home Depot, looking a little bit wore out. Those are my work clothes, and I need to get something really bad. It wasn't like I was gonna go into the mall and stroll around looking like that. Yeah, we walked this road. We come up out of this road before all this logging started to take place back in December. So I think that was 2019, if I remember right. And we were in it, well, several times in 2020. And nothing had taken place then. This has all been this year. And I didn't even hear much of it. It's just nice to get out and walk. And down where we're at right now, you know, you got to understand, at one time, all the land you're looking at was cleared for fields. Yeah, sure was. And they farmed it. It was terraced. I think the youngins call it swelled now. Of course, when all that was done, it was after the Dust Bowl in the 30s, during the Great Depression. U.S. government paid to have farmers terrace off their land to cut down on erosion and loss of topsoil. Sure did. You can look that up. So I can't imagine they may come down here and selectively cut some of this pine. There ain't a whole pile of it. That's about all I can see them doing down in here. Most of what we got is scrub trees. You know, they're little spindly trees, hardwoods. The further we go on back in here, the more sporadic the pines are. Some are loblolly, some are longleaf pine. And longleaf pine is actually the state tree. And it used to dominate the state of Alabama, as well as the state of Georgia, northern Mississippi. I think even down in southern Mississippi too. Yep. But I know the last time I walked this road, the leaf cover was so undisturbed, you almost had to know the road was here. So you can see a pine over here. This is what happens. See, this one's dead. And you can see it's chock full of holes. See all those little holes, you know, in the bark? That's pine beetle. They get into them and they kill them. And we had a rash of that here, back some oh, 20, 25 years ago. And they moved on through. Continued up the eastern seaboard coast and into the northeastern states. And all the while they, on their way up, they killed the white pine. Then they got into the spruces and the firs, you know. Anybody that goes on Google and you go up even in the northeast states and look down, you'll see a lot of standing dead timber. And see, this here particular old logging road, it just runs the top of this ridge. Now, it's a gentle decline. It's not hard to walk going this way. Coming back up. And I know you won't be able to see it, but we've been on a constant downgrade the whole time. You can see a lot of old pine there that died when the beetles come through. A lot of standing dead that's now down. It's all throughout these woods, up in this particular part of it. But intermixed, you got some big old oaks way on up there. Hope I didn't get that sun in your eyes. If I did, I apologize. In fact, I might have spoke wrong. I'm not sure that's an oak. It looks like an oak by the bark. I'm seeing some nut outer casings there that I'm not sure which tree they came off of. And that's the only one I found. But that's way too big for an acorn. It's almost like it's a hickory nut. But that don't look like a hickory nut tree. It looks like an oak tree. Oh, and speaking about gifts, you know, I always forget my water when we're out taking those car trips, and of course when I'm out walking a lot. And I do have a real nice little day pack that I bring with me. But if it's just going to be short walks, you know, a mile or two, even this old man can do that still. Now that right there, that looks like hickory nut. And the bark looks like hickory nut. That may have been a type of hickory nut tree. We got shagbark hickory in this area too. Then there'll be another species, which right off the top of my head, I can't remember. But it's hickory nut as well, but it doesn't have the shaggy bark. And now I'm thinking that what I thought was an oak is probably the other species of hickory tree. I hope this all comes out good on the camera. You know, I never know till I go back in and I start editing. We got a little side path going there. That's going way deep down off the top of this ridge. Four-wheelers have made it down to that valley way below. And I'm just not up to tackling a 45-degree grade today. Nope. Already got a little bit of that breathing going on. I'm sure y'all can hear it. But never fear, I'm okay. In fact, that's another reason for coming out here today. You know, get my heart pumping a little. Get the old lungs opened up. Out here, I ain't gotta have any fear of walking into anybody. I mean, over the 25 odd years I've walked this place, I've ran into maybe, 2 or 3 people. less than a dozen, I would say, over all those years. And this road just continues along this ridge and descends downward. And eventually, it'll come to Thurlow Reservoir. But I'm not going to take it that far today. I wasn't even going to go this far. But the more I walk, the more it gets to be, let's see what's around the next bend. You know, I've always been that way. Ever since I was a little boy. Always wanted to see what was around the next bend. What was over the next hill. Over the next mountain. Through the next tunnel. Yep. In every state I've lived in, I have definitely spent time exploring it. I wasn't much of a shopper in that. You know, I did my gardening. I like to barbecue and grill out. You know, keep up my cars, my house. But every spare moment I had, I was out somewhere in the wild. And I'm not meaning these places where everybody goes to, you know. I mean, out in the wild. You know, and this has been years ago. I think it was 1993. Might have been 94. I went out to the Rockies. And that. And I made sure I went out after the snow had mostly kind of melted off. And all of that. I had me a big old pack, tent, camp stove, you know, all the essentials. Yep, had me a handgun, 357 Magnum. And I was carrying a 30-06 rifle. Because my intent, when I left, was to put my car in storage, or at the time it was truck. And I was gonna have somebody drive me out to the Rockies, to a remote location. And this is before we had cell phones. I mean, some people did. I had I think I had it for work. It's what they called the brick. And before that I had a bag phone. And but not on that out. told Sam when I left, he was the partner in my company. We co-owned it. I said, I'll be back in 30 days. If I lived. He wasn't too big on the idea. But we had things in place where if something happened to me, the company converted over to him, you know. And if something happened to him, it would revert to me. But, you know, I wasn't looking to die. And as you can tell, I didn't die. But I went out and I brought food. You know, stuff like the pioneers brought. Yeah, dried meat. I mean, real beef jerky. Stuff was so hard. Ooh, it's a good thing my teeth were young back then. I had dried beans and that. I had some coffee, a little sugar, salt, pepper. I even brought some garlic powder. Sure did. And onion powder. You know how I like to jazz up when I'm cooking. Those are the basics. And I fished. Had me a little fishing kit. Wasn't a lot. You know. Mostly just a spool of line. An assortment of sinkers and hooks. And a couple of jigs. Didn't amount to much. And I'd fish. And since I was out there in the middle of God's nowhere and that, I hunted. Mostly small game. And with what I'd brought, I had some flour too, if I remember right. I think all total when I started out, and we weighed it, and Sam and I weighed that pack. It weighed 109 pounds, of course. I was a pretty healthy man back then. And that, exercised regularly, weightlifting, running, you know, all that silly crap. So I didn't have no problem with it. But I didn't have no luxurious camping equipment. Most of the time, I just, you know, got rocks, made a fire ring. I did bring my entrenching tool. That was on the back of my pack. My daddy gave me that. I've had it most of my life. So I dig down below soil level a little bit for the fire pit. And make a fire. Nope. I didn't bring a butane torch with me to light my fires, which now seems to be one of the more common methods here on YouTube. Just saying. And this here forest here, like I say, it'll be interesting to see how much they log it. But it'll also be interesting to see it come alive this spring. And that. And that's just something with the hours I used to work. I never took the time to do. Not here, or anywhere else for that matter. Lord, if I got a day off, it was jam-packed with things I had to do, not things I wanted to do. I'm gonna take a little rest here if y'all don't mind. Get out my water bottle, which I was talking about earlier and then got sidetracked. That was a gift for Christmas from my daughter Ashley and my grandson Davey. But not only did they give me this fine water bottle I got, which I'll probably show y'all when we get to the house. Maybe as we're taking a break. Because I can hear some of you breathing harder than me. You know, it's amazing how people's voices carry along the wind. Because there has been a breeze picking up. But anyway, back to the Christmas gifts that Ashley and Davey gave me. But they also brought me down this here pack, another little day pack. The whole Christmas theme was things for Papa to carry when he was walking in the woods. And that whole pack was chock full of things that I would need or could need while I was out in the woods. You know, stuff like carabiners, bug bite stuff, small packages of beef jerky. Oh, a compass. Yep. Even though I have one of those in my other day pack, this is another small compass. A lighter. Oh, and a field notebook with this little breakdown pen. And then the letter she left with it. She said, you know, she wrote a little note inside. This is so you can write your thoughts down, Daddy. Or, you know, if you see something that you need to look up later or want to remember. But one day here, I'll be out and about and I'll have it with me. And that, I just wanted to bring the water bottle today. You know, I got my essentials. I got a lighter. I got a pocket knife. I got a cell phone. I don't need much more than that. I knew I'd be sticking to the old, for the most part, the old logging roads. And they're easy walking. Except, like we are right now, we're heading back upgrade. Fortunately, it's not as steep as you can see down there. That'd be tough. Now for the youngins watching, they go, oh, I could run up and down that 50 times. Yeah, there was a time that I could too. That time has long since passed. I've been looking for a suitable log to sort of park my butt on. And that and take a breather. But while doing that, I got back here up where it's starting to level out. And that's always a good idea. Get to the hardest part over with and then take the break. Instead of taking the break first and then looking up the grade and going, oh my, I still got to climb that. And I don't know if you've noticed it over the time we've been walking. The shadows have been getting longer and longer they are. Now, I ain't seen a suitable place to sit down. It seems Mother Nature hasn't left us out any good bench trees. A bench tree being a nice big one that's fallen, that we can park our self on for a few minutes. But the doctor says this is good for you. Get out, get your heart pumping, get the breathing flowing, you know, clear out the lungs, I guess flush out the heart. Yep. Well, there's a whole big pile of pots. Unfortunately, some of them got melted. Ooh, I'm gonna take a look at this log right over here. And if it ain't loaded up with ants, termites, and other critters, I'm gonna sit here a spell and listen to the birds and nature. It looks like it'll be fine. And take a break. So all of y'all, break out your water bottles, your snacks, and let's take 5, okay? Well, y'all, I hope you didn't mind that little break too much. Now we're rested up a bit. And that actually took a little longer than what I wanted to. It was about the time I sat down with all of y'all, broke out the water and a little piece of candy, my son called me. Yep, he sure did. And we chatted for a bit. So y'all got to have a longer break than what I was anticipating. So we're back on the road again, heading on back to the house. We are. And y'all saw pretty much what everything looked like on the way down through here. And there's so much, if you keep your eyes out and look through the forest, there's still some interesting things, like right over here. Let me show you. See right here? Yep. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 small yucca plants. Right there. And there's a small 5th one. Yep. Yucca grows wild down here too. Some people thought, it was more south. Now the further you go north in Alabama, you'll finally run out of it. But it's not uncommon here in these woods to find it where we're at. And I got to pick up that main road again. So if y'all see it, let me know, because it's starting to get into the late afternoon And we need to be heading over to the house. Yep, I think it's right up here. One of the reasons for my daughter getting me that compass in that small day pack she got for me, she worries about me getting lost. Her and Davy do. And I, of course, she knows even if I didn't have a compass, I wouldn't get lost. Now, I won't lie. There has been times in my life where I've sort of had to ponder a bit on where I was at. I sort of kind of knew, or thought I did. It always came out that I made my way back. In all honesty, sometimes it wasn't quite the route that I had planned, but the final destination came out to be the same. So, in the end, it didn't matter. Well, here's the main road. So, we're gonna head her on back up this way. And when we head off of this road again, I'll pick all y'all back up. Because like I say, you've seen all this on the way down. There ain't no sense rehashing old ground. Well, y'all, as you can see, we're out of the big woods. And we're in a small grassy field right along the edge. And what I want to show you next is what's in here. You see all of these? If you look closely, you see all that green, all these new leaves. Yep, that's blackberries. Sure is. And there's just mounds and mounds. Oh. Look at there. Some of the year's first berry blossoms. Yes, sir. Oh, and I don't think I've ever taken y'all over here with me when I come over here to pick. I know some of y'all worry, you know, when I mow, that old Mr. Tom won't have no blackberries left. Oh, trust me. They're everywhere. Right through here. And they're just starting to bloom. Oh yeah. Here's a big old patch of them all throughout here. Look at that. Now we're back heading into that old home place. You can tell by how green everything is. And I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but you see that nice tree that's all in bloom. It's beautiful, ain't it? Surely is. But there's blackberry all throughout this area. Along with all other kinds of things, if you know what to look for. Like right here. This is clover. Yep. That's clover. Which is also quite edible and quite tasty. Whether it be the white clover or the red clover, crimson clover, which is probably what this is, which even the flower buds are edible too, as well as the leaves that I'm chewing on right now. This time of year, they just got a slightly, it's not even bitter tasting. It's almost like a light lemon. And there's a stand of, oh, some type of daffodil, or it looks like one. And if you've got some property around you that you can go hike on with the owner's permissions, I would suggest you do that too. Like I said, get permission. I've been walking this land, this will be 26 years and that. I'm very thankful that one, they've allowed me to do it, and two, it's here within just a small walk from the house. So we're like coming into a magical area here. So green and lush as it is right now. But it won't be long. We're expected to be up in the low to mid 80s. Oh, by Thursday. And then into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then next Monday, we're supposed to have rain again. But we got to find an easy way out of here and head her on back to the house. And we've about made it to the road that runs along the western end of the cemetery. Just got to navigate through these gigantic Chinese privet hedges that seem to be growing everywhere. Oh, I lost my hat. And I did lose my glasses there for a bit. I had to backtrack just to find them. And what I've noticed, all in and over here, I've been finding patches and patches of this, as you know, wild garlic. Now I'm thinking that little patch right there was more wild onion than wild garlic. They both look similar. But if you know what garlic tastes like, and you know what onion tastes like, you'll be able to tell the difference. You can see we're out of the woods and we're about to venture back across the cemetery right where we came in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ease on through there, and we'll take a break, sit down and chat a minute on the front porch. Well, y'all, you can see we made it back to the old home place. We're here on the front porch, we are. Yep, got my glasses on. And like I told you, I lost them there for a bit. Had to backtrack to find them. And then as we were all coming out, I dropped my cell phone out of my hoodie. Good thing I kept patting that pocket to see if I still had it, which when I decided I didn't have it no more, I had to backtrack again, and here again I was fortunate. And I found it. I was worried about it. But we made it back with everything we took in. Now I'd like to say something about this walk. First of all, I don't own that land. It's 4 different landowners that own it now. Once upon a time, I believe it was just 2. But anyway, that pine plantation, those trees were mature trees when I came here in 1995. And in all rights, they are way overdue to be logged. And you might say, well, why? Well, first of all, that's what they were put there for. They're loblolly pines. Loblollies, they grow fast, they grow straight and true. They are primarily used for the pulpwood and paper industry. And like I told you, they're also sold to several local peak power plants where they stack them up multiple stories high and keep them there for when we need power on demand. Those plants, which are steam operated, can be brought online very rapidly to meet peak power demands here in the state of Alabama. And that. And if you were noticing as we were walking, there was a lot of dead down in the understory, and that was all from the pine beetles that came through here, probably 20 or more years ago. And that. And there was a lot of standing dead pines. So like I say, that pine plantation has been way overdue for harvesting. And I'm sure they'll come back and replant it. They'll do something with the land. And it's just the way of things. They have their purpose. And now that purpose is finally coming to fruition. They say back when settlers came to this area, the longleaf pines that were here were just massive. And there are some longleaf pines, and I've showed them to you before, scattered throughout the big woods. Not over in the pine plantation, but over more where it's dominated by hardwoods. And you can tell the difference. They are massive trees. Not saying those loblollies hadn't got massive, because they had. But I don't feel bad about it. It'll be interesting to see what comes of it. And it's not like there isn't more acreage to walk. I've actually really never walked too much in the pine plantation, except when I was after something specific. And that, like if I saw a fruit tree or a certain nut tree growing in the under canopy. Now you saw those leaks, and that's what more and more I got to thinking about it, where we stopped there at the first part of the video, those are most likely a very old variety of leek. And I'm going to be looking it up. Yep. Just from the leaf structure. Even though they could be a variety of garlic leeks. Because they do have those. Both for cultivated types and wild. Those weren't wild. Those, somebody planted those, who knows, when that bed was put in. You see, right in that whole area, there was no trees once upon a time. In fact, I'll leave an old aerial photograph at the end of this video showing you what the place looked like back in the 40s and 50s when it was being actively farmed. The fields were clear right where we were at. In fact, most of that woods that we walked along that upper ridge logging road was all clear too. Yep. In fact, that was probably a farm road at one time, more than a logging road. And boy, what I wouldn't do if I had the money, I'd buy me one of those tracts of land. What would I do with it? Exactly what I did today. From time to time, I'd walk upon it. I'd pick the blackberries, the dewberries, some yucca, gather up the hickory nuts, different acorns. There's wild pecan that grows throughout there. Beech nut also grows. I did see some beech nut and that. And while I was taking that break on that log, well, y'all were there with me, but I don't know if you noticed it, and I didn't say nothing. First of all, you got to be real cautious about certain things. But where I was sitting, as I was sitting there talking on the phone with my son James, I looked out, and probably about 100 yards off to the right was a mound. And it wasn't natural. It was up higher than my head. Had to be a good, 10, 12 feet high. And probably about 50 foot long. And I thought about, getting up, showing it all to you. But the more I thought about it, the more I said, nope, I wasn't. And you may be wondering, why not, Mr. Tom? Well, because all along this river, Tallapoosa River, and all these woods, once upon a time, they were just dotted all throughout them. Native American villages. Some were small, some were rather large. Like I've told you, the capital of the Creek Nation was just about 3 or 4 miles down the road at the Big Bend on the Tallapoosa River. But when I saw the mound, I knew exactly what it was. And most likely what it was a burial mound. Yeah. Because there was a village in that woods. In fact, there were 2 of them at one time. They show up on some maps from back in the early 1809, 1798, that time era. Don't quote me on that either. I'd have to look at the old maps. But on the maps were little hand-drawn in pictures of teepees. Even though the Creek Indians didn't live in teepees. No, they built log-type homes. They surely did, and you can look that up too. So I thought about, that's a spiritual place. And just needs to be left alone. Left in peace. Because there was a time in Alabama, Mississippi, southern Georgia, there were massive mounds, Indian ceremonial and burial mounds. And in the earlier days, they were excavated, you know, supposedly for archaeological study. I've never agreed with that. Maybe y'all are difference of opinion. It's just like I wouldn't agree with somebody going up and digging up people in the cemetery from a couple hundred years ago. No, I wouldn't. But, you know, back in the day, it did happen. And you can look that up too. And there's a couple more scattered throughout that woods and several others I walk. I don't think I've showed them to anybody. I was gone a time or two, but that thought just always comes over me. Just let it be. If I wouldn't have been paying attention, I'd have never noticed it. So maybe I was supposed to. And if I had to guess, it'll be okay. But I hope you enjoyed our little walkabout in the woods. Get out with me. Listen to the old man ramble along. Maybe you'll learn a tidbit or two along the way. Maybe not. If I see something of interest, I do like to point it out. Sometimes I don't see much. Today was one of those times. I enjoyed talking to my son while sitting on the log, listening to nature. In fact, he's going to take a walkabout next week. Up in the Great Smoky Mountains he is. He wants to go up there. And that, to a place he's never been. He's got all the gear. Knows what he's doing. He's trained. He'll be just fine. He's going to have a cell with him. Even bringing a power brick along so he can charge up his cell phone. He's got everything he needs. And we'll stay in communications. And of course, James knows if he needs anything, all he's got to do is call. I'll be up there just as fast as old focus can go. Slap to the floor. Oh, I was going to show you that fine water bottle that my daughter Ashley and my grandson Davey got me for Christmas, right? Let me show it to you. See, here it is, right here. And it straps on your belt. And then it's also got a place if you want to put a carabiner on it, attach it to your belt. And then inside, it's got this nice aluminum water bottle. See it right there? That's the nicest one I've ever had. I've got some plastic ones. I've had a couple of plastic ones sent by viewers. But I've never had one that fine. Normally, I just chunk in some Sam's Choice water in my little day pack. But I thought that was so nice of my daughter and my grandson. And the next time we're out and about, I'll try to remember to bring that day pack she put all together for me. Maybe we'll go on a picnic over at one of the Forever Wild areas. And that way I can just spread it all out for you and show me all the things she jammed on in that thing. She really put a lot of thought to it. And so did David. And of course, every last little thing was wrapped up and tucked inside. The thing was jam-packed. It was. There's always been a joke on Christmas and birthdays. When we wrap up packages, we make them almost impossible to unwrap. My father started that. Of course, I continued it. Then my daughter latched on to it. And it took the old man a while. Occasionally I had to break out a knife just to get them all unwrapped. But as I looked through each item, I could see the thought that they put into it and the care and the love. You know, it's just like with the care packages many of y'all send the old man. An old Spook showed up. He's here below me. Hey, Spook. You weren't following Papa out in the big woods, were you? I didn't see you this time. But I did see you coming across there. Were you hanging back, making sure Papa'd be okay? You'd go after him, wouldn't you? Well, that must mean Cleo's not too far away. And I'm sure Speedy's asleep in the carport. And the sun's getting low. And it's getting close to their feeding time. Of course, Gracie's and Trixie's too. So we're going to call this one. And y'all can tell me, Gracie and Trixie and the kitty crew, Spook here, somewhere Cleo, Speedy, Elrod, Magoo. See y'all on the next video. Y'all please take care out there. Stay safe. And God bless you, your family, friends, and loved ones. Till we see you again. Goodbye for now. Spooky, is it time to get food time, food time, food time? Is it? You're all dusty again. Yep, you like rolling around in the dirt, don't you? Get your dust bath. You missed Papa, didn't you? You missed him.